stands out for me? Well, I think uniqueness. I was born in China. Actually, at the time it was not belonging to China. Japan was, we call that Manchuria. So that was my childbirth, and actually I was born February 16, 1933. So today I am 85 years old. And today is what? May 24th, 2018. Yeah, the cows are running already. 1933, my neighbor had already old, like a Chevrolet type old car. And 1945, war end, I remember, and it was a very sad moment. But anyway, that's where it is. And after that, after the war, Russian broke the treaty between Japan and Russia, no invasion, but they broke the treaty. And 10 days before the end of the war, Rush came from northern Manchuria through the Korea to the Manchuria. They came down from north to south very quickly. And we are not prepared against that. So that moment started a miserable life. All Japanese. No food to eat, nothing, no jobs. But we learned at that time, because my father was a dentist, so he had some technique in his hand. So still if I have dental pain, patient comes. But funny things was not Japanese patient only, but Russian soldiers. They come to my father's office. Mm-hmm. They want to put the gold teeth as a decoration, like gold. And on the token of the payment, instead they pay by the bag of the rice, big carton of the crackers stolen from Japanese army. And that we got so many stuff. So our neighbors have no food, nothing, they have no work. So we are able to distribute to my neighbor. So this was a very, helpful to them. But we learned that, and my parents, or particularly my father, emphasized, for the future, if you want to be future, you have to have something in your hands. Because most people, if you're a school teacher, office worker, those people lost a job, no jobs. But the dentists, engineers, doctors always have jobs. So already put into my brain, you have to be something in your hands. So that's the way we are raised. So actually my younger brother was a doctor, and my third brother is a dentist, because he inherited my father's job. And my sister married as a doctor, so we have like a doctor's family. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I was griping to my parents, why we have so many doctors in my family? I want to have someone else different.
A musician.
Yeah, musician or something, merchant, selling the clothes or something, else. Well, anyway, that's a side story.
But that was your father's prescription.
Yes.
For surviving in hard times.
That's right, hard time, yes. That's the way we learned. Mm-hmm. Yes. So, my father was actually a dentist. They need a doctors, a dentist, engineers. So they retained 2 years even after the war, because most regular people sent back to Japan. But we are retained. So we came back in 1947 to Japan, from Manchuria to Japan. And then we settled into where my father was born, Nagano. The Nagano prefecture. Actually, name of the city is Matsumoto. And Matsumoto city was kind of where I was raised. So I was raised from that in the end of the 3rd grade of the middle school to the end of I went to the high school. And you can find some of the pictures from,
right. Was high school eventful for you?
High school was actually a good high school. They had 3 high schools. that area was another two girls' high school. Both at the time very clearly separate the boys' schools and girls' school. So there are three boys' school, high school, and two girls' high school. And I was kind of it was in the number one, number two, number three high school. I was the number one high school. So anyway,
the numbers according to
the
any system.
According to the ability to the mental capacity, I guess they have a test to go in anyway. So all my brothers and even including sister went to the same school, Fukashi High School, and that time my sister was able to go into the boys' school. Actually, this is a boys' school, but gradually, loosen up that kind of strict, separation. So my sister was smart enough. She passed the examination. She went to the same school. So my whole siblings went to same school. And after that, high school time, I played soccer. I was a goalkeeper most of the time. So I enjoyed.
It's an important position.
Yeah, I enjoyed that playing. But I think maybe second toward the high school, end of the high school, I rather want to concentrate more studying to go to the college. So I think I quit. No more. It's a soccer game.
Right. And did you go to college in Japan?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I went to the pre-medical school in the Chiba.
Pre-medical?
Pre-medical. 2 years pre-medical school. Then after that, I went to medical school, where the same Matsumoto. Luckily, we had a medical school in the where I was raised.
Same area.
Same area. So I went to because they call it Shinshu. Another name of the Nagano means another name is Shinshu. So Shinshu Medical School, Shinshu University of Medical School. Well, at the time I went to let's see. I graduated in 1959, so in 1955 I entered the medical school.
In Japan?
In Japan. And at that time I think still Japan is slightly behind of that American medicine as well as German. Half of the professor went to Germany to study, and half of the professor went to the United States. So we are forced to learn both German and English. And at the time, the general atmosphere of the doctors and the patient relationship was, don't tell anything to the patient. Keep inside, just among the profession, but not tell the patient. So
this was the Japanese style?
Yeah, I think that the German style primarily. And influenced by that kind of mentality. So in front of the patient, we don't speak Japanese language. We speak only either German or English. So patient doesn't know what's going on.
Do you still carry that? Still the same philosophy?
No way. Absolutely not. But at that time we were raised, so we are quite fluent speaking, particularly German. So after graduate medical school, then I went to the internship in Tokyo, First National Hospital in Tokyo, which is a good hospital. So I got a very good training. At the time, I felt like I know everything. End of the first internship, but just a good hospital, good training, and good opportunity to learn to see the patient. So, or something like I remember, we had this about 1,300 patients in this hospital, and weekend that's the job of the internship to go around to give an injection to the mostly intravenous injections is only the doctors can do that. So that job is about 150 patients I have to stick in to the weekend. That was the job of the intern. So after that, I went to the University Tokyo after internship to the department of neuropsychiatry. And I learned mostly that I was very interested in neuropharmacology. Means neuropharmacology, the drug to working to the brain, and I stayed about 5 years working in the as well as the.
What year was this?
I went to 1960.
And that was pretty new in those days, wasn't it?
Yes,
New field.
new field. Yes, because at that time the treatment of that mental patient was there's no good drug. We were very using electric shock, or like inducing the high fever by using the malaria vaccine and treating. There's not good treatment. But I think new drugs developed by the mostly French at the time, early 19, or maybe 1950. And I just went to 1960, so I was very interested in that area. So I learned quite a lot during that school time. So it was 1960, and in 1966 I had the opportunity to come to the United States. Actually, American Air Force offered this scholarship and to study, to run. If you send the astronaut to the moon, and if the astronaut taking we call the psychedelic drugs, like LSD 25 or mescaline, or like the THC, now we call that the marijuana. Those drugs, what happened? So my professor in the University of Minnesota, he was studying that particular area. So I was invited and I got scholarship. So I went to University of Minnesota, Minneapolis. So at the time, US system is also not clear. Patient informed the consent form. And we didn't give any patient to hold any research.
The patients did or did not sign a consent form?
No, there was no clear system.
Who were the patients at this time?
No, at the time, mostly university student. There's a volunteer.
And they were using experimental?
Yes, and yes, experimental drug, and put in like a dark room, and just put some kind of Google type, vision goggle to see as if like you are going with flying to the moon. And but this became a later.
Were they using hallucinatory drugs on them, or were they using pharmacy?
No, hallucinatory drug. Like I said, the LSD 25, or the mescaline, or THC. Actually, my professor was called by Congress to testify at what you're doing, and that meaningful kind of all that inquiries. I remember that, but. At the time, there's no clear consensus how that research should be done, and how that that the patient or candidate or subject to be informed. So, anyway, that I remember very clearly. It's a clear event. But after 1 year, that's right. During that period, as I mentioned, that I belonged to the Lutheran Church group. And the Lutheran Church group in September, they had a picnic, and here comes that.
What year was this?
Huh?
What year?
1966. I came to the 1966, and then September. So maybe the picnic was not September, maybe like August or October, 1 month later. I met my wife. She was also one of the group of the other part of the groups. So then
what you're saying now had nothing to do with the research you.
No, nothing to do. Just having a good time with a picnic.
Right.
I met my wife, and then started dating.
Right.
Yes, and.
What attracted you to her?
She was kind of she was very interested in Japanese culture. She apparently learned something she knows already, but she was when she told me when she was a kid, you're Jap, because her eyes, according to her, I don't think her eyes was small, but she's like a tiny slit. So, oh, you're Jap, kind of teeth taught her, like, bullying, But anyway, she was very interested in Japanese culture. That maybe it triggered to, because otherwise I feel uncomfortable to, not knowing, my Japanese culture. But she was very interested. So,
What other interests did you share?
she was interested in Japanese food, cooking. So she knows like how to make like a sukiyaki. Sukiyaki is one of the typical Japanese, entertainment food. So she was able to make it.
So she attracted you through your stomach, huh?
Maybe.
That's the way to get to a man's heart.
Yeah, right. Well, actually, she made it for me. That very impressed me. I had no idea how she can make it, but she made it. So, but after she graduated, she moved to San Diego and teaching in the grade school.
And you were where?
I was 1 year after Minnesota, as you can imagine, so cold, brutal. You can't walk the winter time, just about one blocks, more than one blocks. You have to jump into the apartment wherever that you can jump into inside. Leave it warm up, then start walking. And the car didn't start. I had a car, but the car you have to stick to the warmer into the engine, actual engine oil, to keep warm.
Right.
Otherwise, the car couldn't start. So after 1 year, I couldn't stand that so cold. So I decided to go. Fortunately, I had a previous acquaintance, the director of the research hospital in Illinois, Galesburg, small town. So I moved into this Galesburg State Research Hospital. They had 3,000 patients over there, and as well as the research facilities. They had.
They were psychiatric hospitals?
Yeah, there was psychiatric hospital, but they had also both psychiatric as well as neurological patient. I was more interested in neurology anyway. Yeah, brain injuries or like a Parkinson's, all these neurological diseases. So I stayed there about 5 years, worked both patient as well as research. So I did a lot of research work and maybe published maybe 10 papers. I wrote like a book, it's about a chapter of the book, under his, Dr. Himbich. He's quite well known at the time. And I worked 5 years. Then I was kind of interested in American psychiatry. So I decided to go back to the hospital to the more research. No, instead of just research or my do on patient, I joined to the Illinois State Psychiatric Hospital in Chicago, and I want to learn some like American dynamic psychiatry. And what I was curious, I had no clear idea. But as soon as I joined, I found that dynamic psychiatry is mostly emphasizing on the psychotherapy, and they don't talk about any physical condition. I felt that was wrong. Patient is not just mental, or the coming from the body and the mental together. And if you ignore the body part, something missing. I strongly felt that time when taking the patient case to presentation is acceptable, normal way, normal condition. Otherwise, you're missing very important part. You can't just isolate just mental. You have to make sure that the physical or the physical status is normal. Then you can start talking the mental. So after 1 year, I was kind of struggling whether I should stay this kind of American psychiatric training. And in the meantime, I had a second baby. Oh, by the way, I didn't talk about my kids, but I had 3 kids. And the first.
You didn't even talk about getting married.
getting married. Oh, I talked about
You talked about your
my
wife
job.
going to San Diego.
Yeah,
I
that's
never
right.
heard that you were married.
Yeah, okay. Going back to the story, 2 years we had a correspondence. She went to San Diego, I went to the Illinois, and 2 years we had a correspondence, just more or less, Then we decided to get married. Of course, I visited San Diego. She came to my hospital in Illinois, so we know each other. And so we married August 17, 1968. So that's our marriage.
When you got married, were you then living in the same city?
Yes, I live in yes, I live the same city, Gettysburg. Actually, my daughter was born Minneapolis. Although I was already left to Minneapolis, but we do know that through her mother, there was a good obstetrician in the University Hospital in Minneapolis. And my wife had incompetent cervix. So when the baby getting maturing, heavier, incompetent cervix, can't hold it.
Right.
So we realized that because we lost first baby, but second baby we realized that important. So we immediately went to the University Hospital in Minneapolis, and she got operation, Shiratka operation. That's a technique, very technique, tidying up the uterus, end of the uterus. So she was able to stay there, and she was born November 31st, 1969. So that was the first baby, Sonia. And after that, actually, I was working in Gettysburg. Then I moved to Chicago, as I told you. I decided to take a residency. And so my second boy, Ken, he was born in Chicago. And at the time, I felt I need more money because resident being paid so minimum. I don't have enough money to raise my family. And at the time, my close friend who did the internship together in Japan, he was already working drug company, Beringer Ingelheim, and he suggested it's not so bad to work in drug company and get a good amount of salary. So I was curious to, okay, I never worked before any industry, always in the hospital or a public hospital. So I decided to join, maybe 2 years. I will join the industry, the drug company. So the opportunity came from, they call the Leathery Laboratories.
What?
Leathery, Ledre, Leathery Laboratories, located in the Pearl River, New York. So I joined in 1973 to the drug company. And I moved from Chicago to New York. And the company tricked me. First year, literally, I got salary increase 3 times. I couldn't believe it. I didn't ask anything, but apparently they needed me, I guess. So increase. So that was that I was trapped to industry. I was originally thinking only I work 2 years. I want to go back to clinic, to the patient care. But I ended up working drug company 23 years.
Oh, right.
By the way, I'm not only getting the salary, but I gained about 20 pounds. Because, eating the good food and, all the, My job, the primary job that developing that, because my background is neuropharmacology. So developing the drugs for the primary for the psychiatric patient, like such as schizophrenia or depression or anxiety patient. So anti-psychiatric drugs, that was the primary job. I was hired. But after that, company changes, the structures and, president of the company, they had a different kind of a philosophy. Then about 5 years, that we was told that the physician had to do anything, not just the psychiatric or neurological area. You have to do the cardiology or rheumatology or even oncology, cancer. So I was kind of started training myself too, but also attending the training course outside to getting the more specialized in the area. So I was quite happy to, in other words, diversifying your experience and do the all kinds. So I actually, after that, anyway, that company was absorbed, actually disappeared. So I was forced to the another company, Wires, W-Y-E-T-H, Wires.
Wyatt, yes.
And located in Pennsylvania, actually outside of Philadelphia. So that period, 4 years, I was the head of my neuropsychiatry department. So and I was a very interesting drug I was developing. Actually, this is a sleeping drug, and makes patients sleepy, and it was a good drug. So I felt very confident. I want to finish the job to carry on and to get approval by the FDA, Food Drug Administration. So I went to with my project to go to reluctantly to the Pennsylvania, and that 4 years period I was commuting, not everyday commuting, weekend commuting. I had an apartment in outside of Philadelphia, actually Radnor, named the town Radnor, and my wife was still living in New York. So 4 years period was a kind of miserable time. Every weekend, after like Sunday afternoon, like 6 p.m. after supper, I have to drive back. 2 hours driving back to the Pennsylvania, and I hated. Yeah.
How long did you do it?
4 years. And also the company culture was just awful. You can't speak up if anything negative data when during development. You see the drug is not always rosy, fancy, everything good. Sometimes you see negative data. And you have to speak up, tell, here's a bad data. We may not feel, but the company culture, that the other company, Wires, they don't allow you to speak out in the public forum. They don't like to listen to anything negative. I hate it, really. I said this is not a good place to work. So, but anyway, so eventually the company developed some like a cardiovascular drug to the patient has a heart condition. They pushed to get approval because this drug came from France, actually licensed, and the company started developing first. And went to the market. After 1.5 years, all the side effects happened. We know that already. This drug is not good, then shouldn't do it. But the person carrying this project, keep the mouth shut. Don't say anything. Only talk about rosy part. So sure enough, when the drug went to market and become more widely used, all the side effects popped up. So company had a big lawsuit and a big loss. So anyway, that was kind of a very learning experience. I knew that, you can't speak to, you can't, hide. You have to speak honestly what you see, and you have to tell to the management either you should go ahead or stop it. But many companies reluctant because once you invested million dollars. Well, I want to finish as soon as my project is getting approval by the FDA. I want to quit anyway. By that time, I was already close to like 70.
Wow.
So it's enough. And then before retirement, my good friend, actually Japanese guy, he had the office in Princeton, New Jersey, and he knows me. And he really wanted me to join his company. I wasn't initially not sure whether I should join this company. Well, I know that Takeda is the number one company at the time in Japan, so I know that. And we are good friends as playing golf. I used to play the golf, so he invited me to as a consultant. So I joined to the Takeda in the Princeton. So I moved from Pennsylvania to Princeton, and again still I had an apartment. Because too far away to to commute every day from New York. But eventually I joined his company. Maybe after 1 year consultant, and become a permanent, like a full-time employee. And at the time, I decided to move out from New Jersey, from New York to New Jersey. Always I had a dream. I want to live nearby the water, near the shore, which I did. So I built a house in but anyway, I moved to the New Jersey. I built a house.
Now, Jersey Shore?
New Jersey Shore, south of Tom's River. Yeah. And it was nice. The house behind the house is a lagoon. So I bought a boat, small boat, 23 feet, and I bought a boat, and that was my dream. I want to have my own boat, and I have a picture I can show you.
What kind of boat?
Grady White.
What is that?
Grady White, the name of the boat. This is a picture of my son. We went to the striper.
Okay.
That's my boat. And
so it's a motorboat?
Motorboat, yes. Two. Here the stripers. Quote.
Who did you go fishing with?
With my son. Mostly he was a very expert fisherman.
Oh.
That I bought. The name of the town is. Let's see. I came back my Bayville.
Bayville?
Yeah, Bayville, New Jersey. That's the name of the town. I built a house there. And, so I stayed there, and we did a lot of fishing. Sometimes we went to the canyon. Canyon is about 80 miles offshore. Believe it or not, we were able to go with such small boat. These are the twin engine and the 19 gallons, 2 tanks, so 180 gallons tank. But we, make sure that we can go and come back.
Right.
So always my son took the 5 gallons extra small, containers, 5 containers in front with the bow.
25 extra gallons?
25 gallons.
Extra.
We used only maybe once. We went several times to the canyon. And so we got the tuna, waffle. So that was a good time. I was working the first time on the Takeda in the Princeton. So once I moved to New Jersey, I was able to commute from Princeton from Bayville to Princeton. About 1 hour driving, so it was not bad. But about 2 years after I started working in Takeda, they decided to move to Chicago, the office. I didn't want to go back to the Illinois. Anyway, Chicago. So I decided to stay, and you're talking about Takata.
Takata.
No, Takeda is a pharmaceutical company, biggest pharmaceutical company in Japan. Recently, they bought a Shire, English company, merged, but they bought Shire anyway. So I didn't want to go, but then meantime, another Japanese company, Kyowa, located in the same area, next to the Takeda actually building, and Kyowa, the president of Kyowa, know me, so he asked me to join to that company. So I agreed to work as a consultant. I will not become any more employee, but I work as a consultant. So I worked at Kyowa maybe 5 years as a consultant. Then at the time I was working mostly like neurology, like a Parkinson patient, but the developing the drug. For part time I'm working as an oncology because cancer drug. Then maybe 6 months I didn't work and stayed at home. It was nice. And at the time, actually, my wife started getting sick. She had an illness. Starting, she had various, various same as her father, Lou Gehrig diseases. We went so many different hospital clinics until the final diagnosis was made at Columbia University. Dr. Mitsumoto, he is a Japanese guy. Finally, he said a probable Lou Gehrig disease. Sure enough, she had Lou Gehrig. There's no good drug yet. Unfortunately, Lou Gehrig disease was discovered 100 years ago in Germany. And still, I saw my patient when I was a resident in Tokyo University. Still, we don't have a good drug. It's amazing. Very difficult. We know the couple of genes that we found the genes, but these are just the tip of the iceberg. There are many, many other genes, but still there's no good drug. Only some of the drugs that prolong maybe 6 months their lives, but it's not cure, nothing. Right. Maybe 6 months I was not working, I was spending most time in the home, maybe fishing, but my wife started showing that Lou Gehrig disease symptoms clearly. But in the meantime, this president of the Kyowa in Princeton, he went back to Japan. And he worked maybe 2 years, but after that he retired. Then after that he joined another company, formed a newly company, formed small biopharmaceutical company. The name is Prism. And president of Prism and the president of the Kyowa. His name is Inada. Both came to visit me to my New Jersey home and asking to join to this company. So it was very interesting, primarily the treatment of the cancer patient and very new molecule, small molecule, new mechanism of action, and very interesting. So, okay, I can join and I can work, but my wife's condition is, very fragile, so I can't travel, but I can make a consultation from my home. That was the agreement initially. But they said that's fine, as long as you can, help me or help us. So I joined. Then I worked primarily at home for about 1 year. But then my wife getting worse. And eventually, she expired 2010. April 20th. Well, the changing is very, very drastic because I have married with her over close to 50 years. So, but in the meantime, I decided to keep my concentration to working. That helped me to something you can do. Then I was able to more traveling because no more I don't need to stay home. So I did a very extensive traveling back and forth to Japan, or to go to Europe. I didn't go to South Asia, mostly concentration in the United States or Europe. So I did help into the development of this cancer drug. And until recently, I just finished this my work. It's let's see, around April.
Oh,
Not April. I mean last year April.
A year ago.
Yeah. Well, I think at my age and I don't want to travel too much anymore. I rather rest of my life to enjoy, and I don't know how many years I can live, but as long as I can keep my healthiness and the mental alertness, that will be good. I'm keeping very active in my life here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, I moved this after that from New Jersey to here, 2014. I bought this house. Actually, I didn't build, but it's a Toll Brothers nicely made house.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a 55 plus community.
Okay.
So,
So you have company here?
yes, I have a lot of friends here.
Right.
And so, actually, I do the, let's see, after I moved here, I started the bridge game. I never done it before. I never did bridge. It's very, I don't know, you know that.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, that one of the guys is very good to bridge. He's a teacher, and he's teaching. He had a class, so I attended about 1 year, to once a week. And
You had a teacher.
he was teaching us about 4 students. Right, we run. So I run quite a lot, and I'm very interested. So I do the bridge every Friday afternoon.
Okay.
That's one activity. I do the bowling Wednesday afternoon.
Bowling?
Bowling, yes.
The big pins or the little pins?
Oh, big pin.
Big pins.
So usual bowling alley.
The big 15-pound ball?
Yeah, no, I can throw about
Okay.
12-pound ball.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I used to in Japan. I did a long time ago, but then I never did bowling. But then.
Are you in a league?
No. We just people.
Just recreation.
Yeah, recreation. No, really there.
Mm-hmm.
So bowling, and I do the pool game, pool table,
Mm-hmm.
billiard, Monday and Friday evening,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
twice a week.
So how often do you see your grandchildren?
Grandchildren, occasional.
Occasionally.
Yeah, whenever the event, like we had last Mother's Day
Right.
event here. So
Do you have any? You don't have any great grandchildren yet.
no, I wish, but
What message would you have for your great grandchildren?
great grandchildren.
The unborn grandchildren. What message would you have for them?
I wish I could see you, and I could hold you, and I can kiss you, and can hug you.
Okay.
Yeah.
What messages would you have? What advice about life or living?
My advice to my great grandchildren. Okay. The first, be healthy, and eventually you find what you want to in your life. Stick it. Of course, you need a good mentor. Mentor is very important for your life. And getting the good advice and using that advice. And maintaining once you decide to, you choose your course of your life. Don't go wishing, wandering around. That is not good. And even you may fail. Sometimes you're not always successful. That's okay. It happens in your life. Now, but you learn something. If you do mistake, okay, that's fine. But don't repeat the same mistake again. Then you are stupid. But as long as you learn something by mistake and stick on to your own decided your course, you'll be fine and you'll be very successful. You'll enjoy your life as you are. That's my advice. My grandchildren, yes, my observation to my grandchildren, all of you are fine. You're very good. And keep up whatever you're doing now. And eventually you find that what you want to be future. I don't know, but eventually you find, as I said, you may have to find a good mentor to guide you. Of course, your parents will help you, but eventually you are the one. You are the one who has to establish yourself. You can't be totally dependent on your parents or whoever, others. So,
do you have any suggestions for them on how to find a mentor?
well, that is depending on the circumstance. I really can't say. Whatever the occasion comes, and you may find yourself, if in your mind, I want to have a good mentor, whatever you into mentor, I mean, do you have someone who has a good expertise and a good, nature to help you, to guide you, that kind of person. So you have to own your rack in a way. Yeah. Well, I think another advice is don't be afraid. Try to do something, if you have idea, you want to do something new, try. It's okay, you may fail, but you learn something. But eventually you can't, wandering around. That's my key. Eventually you have to find whatever you want to and stick it and achieve it. Okay? I don't know. I'm very happy now. I'm 85 years old. I don't know how many years I can live in this my life, but I enjoy and that's great. Oh, I want to be healthy and I don't want to be dependent on my kids. Many my age, that become Alzheimer or physically incapacitated, stay in the nursing home. My wish is I don't need to go to nursing home. One day they found me dead in my bed or something. So,
Right.
I'm very happy. I'm proud of my three children. They're very nicely grown and they can seek in their own path.
Right.
On the
Right.
line.
Do you follow any faith?
Do I follow the faith?
Any faith?
Any faith?
Yeah. Do you have a particular faith?
I believe the God. And the God is helping to the human being to be, togetherness, happiness, and peacefulness, all kind of, good humanity. Uh, if you don't believe the God, it's tough yourself. I do know the patient believes a God. When the time of the life, the stage of the end of their life, they are going to very peacefully. Versus, I don't know, some people are called the atheist. They don't believe. I don't know. But of course, we have a medicine like a morphine to help you to make you euphoric and so artificially makes So I can't differentiate. But as a mind, as a peaceful mind, if you believe the God, eventually you go happy life as an end. I think that's good. We don't need to give a unnecessary suffer and the agonies and the pain and the torture. Rather, if you end of life, give a palliative medicine to die peacefully, and then definitely we should help. Yes. I have 5 grandchildren.
5 grandchildren.
Okay, actually recently my youngest daughter, Sachi, had a baby. And she was born one day after my birthday, February 17th. I was born February 16th. And she's about 3 months old now.
So that's your darling, huh?
Yes. So 5 grandchildren.
To start all over or do it differently, what if anything, would you do differently?
If I do the start all over again, I want to be bird.
Be better?
I want to be bird flying all over.
Oh. Okay.
Looks like so free and enjoying their life. I'm listening every morning or even at daytime. Birds singing, the trees, and the so natural. They are hard life. You don't believe on that. Any living life, cycle of your life.